Well, in business news, the federal government, in a strategic move to bolster the nation's economy and good governance frameworks and ensure robust and coordinated economic planning implementation, President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of the Presidential Economic Coordination Council and the creation of Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force. In a statement made available to Newsbearing by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Ajurin Galale, the Economic Management Team's Emergency Task Force is mandated to formulate and implement a consolidated emergency economic plan. Also, the Emergency Task Force is to submit a comprehensive plan of economic interventions for 2024 to the PECC, covering the next 6 months for immediate implementation within 2 weeks of its inauguration. Meanwhile, the Presidential Economic Coordination Council, which comprises of key members of the organized private sector and government officials, will address immediate economic challenges and ensure the streamlined execution of economic strategies. The Ministry of Petroleum Resources has challenged top officials under the supervision of the ministry on the need to revamp production to meet its targets as set as President Bola Tinubu for the ministry. The Minister of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, who spoke at the sectorial retreat on the ministerial deliverables for the oil and gas sector in Abuja, says it must do all it takes to remove bottlenecks and take proactive steps to ensure that its environment is highly competitive to drive investment in the sector. Helen Osamede Akins reports.
Nigerians are down with over 208 trillion cubic feet in proven gas reserves, yet it is still grappling with energy poverty. As part of efforts to address the challenges in the sector, the federal government set clear deliverables and introduced a key performing index to monitor the performance of all ministers and their ministries to chart a path to progress and prosperity of the nation.
Briefly, round of applause as I call.
This retreat has in attendance the permanent secretary, directors, as well as the chief executive officers and directors from the agencies under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum to brainstorm on ways to achieve its targets as set by the president. The ministers charged the participants on the need to work towards revamping production to meet its targets.
For our production, we'll be able to meet, our targets, in terms of increase in revenue. If we ramp up production, we'll be able to meet our targets in our obligations, in the midstream and downstream. Part of the challenge I'm afraid of is whether, even if we finish fixing our refineries, whether we'll be able to get feedstock. It will be very embarrassing that when we finish rehabilitating our refineries in Port Harcourt, in Warri and Kaduna, with Dangote refinery coming on board, with Boa, with a couple of modular refineries that have signed.
Building synergy for enhanced development in the oil and gas sector underscores the importance of collaboration and cooperation in addressing the challenges and seizing the opportunities that lie ahead. In an era marked by rapid technological advancement, evolving market dynamics, and growing global consciousness towards sustainable practices, we must work together to navigate these complexities and chart a course towards sustainable development and prosperity.
It is expected that the discussions and deliberations from these retreats will not only be for the sake of discussion, but will be a call to action required to reposition the Nigerian oil and gas sector for optimal performance. Helen Osamide Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
And wrapping up business, the stock market closed in the positive territory with higher figures and performances coming from various sectors. If Jacob has more, and we'll be back with sports news.
Stock market investors have renewed interest in banking shares as they wait for previous year's trade results of companies. Many of the big banks showed strength in their trade numbers, which look upward. It was Zenith Bank that recorded the biggest gain in the percentage of 8, following huge support from investors. GT Holdings, UBA, Access Holdings all recorded competitive trading activities. The market performance threw up the index by 3.2% to stress the position of gains. The volume of business on the floor equally increased to almost 500 million units of securities worth over 12 billion naira. Down the line, business losers were First Bank Holding, Transcorp PLC, Transcorp Power, Fidelity Bank and MTN Nigeria. Analysts in the market say they expect further trade jumps in the market subsectors in the coming weeks. Ifyong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.